Okay, we'll begin with our 2026-2027 public hearing for the calendar.
Okay. I put the PowerPoint, I put a copy up there for you all, and it's also online too. So I will go through each one. I'm not gonna read it all, but if you have questions, just stop me and we'll talk about it. So this is our first one. We have to have 2 every year. We also have to put the public notices in, so we put those in the paper. And there has to be a quorum of the county board members present. Our calendar hearings will be tonight and then January 20th, and then Grant County will be holding theirs on January 13th and January 20th. So the next one is the legislative requirements. The instructional term, we have to have 180 separate days of instruction, and the length of the instructional term begins with beginning and closing days at a minimum of 200 days of employment term not to exceed past 48 weeks. And you're gonna see a lot of repetition throughout this PowerPoint. The instructional days, these are the abbreviations, so it just gives you all the definitions of everything for the abbreviations that you'll see throughout the presentation. So instructional days is part of the 180-day term for students, and the non-instructional days are all school calendars must include 20 compensated non-taught days. Non-instructional days are days when school is in session, but students are not present. However, when compensated non-taught days include holidays, election days, and outside school environment days when school personnel may not report to work. Some more abbreviations and definitions. CD is for curriculum development. A P is preparation for opening and closing schools. 2 days are to be used at the teacher's discretion for activities to facilitate the opening and closing of school, and 1 day is to be planned prior to the beginning of the instructional term, and 1 day is to be planned prior to the end of the employment term after the instructional term has concluded. PL means professional learning. These are planned professional learning days that may encompass a full or half day if the county has added the 30 minutes to the minimum instructional day at each programmatic level. Professional learning days are for educators in lieu of instructional days for students. These days or equivalent portions of days are not subject to cancellation or being rescheduled to make up for instructional days lost. These days may be used and determined by the county board, must be used without students present, and must be used exclusively for activities by educators at the school level, which are designed to improve instruction. This time is considered instructional time and is not part of the 20 non-taught compensated days. TP is teacher, pupil, parent conferences. PM is professional meetings. OS is outside school environment. E is for primary or general election, and H stands for holiday on our calendars. The employment term, we already talked about that. The employment term, the county must provide a minimum of employment term for regular full-time employees of at least 200 days.
Thank you.
2 prep days, 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end. 7 legal school holidays, an election day, and 6 days to be designated as outside school environment, and other non-instructional days which can be used for curriculum development, parent-teacher conferences, or professional meetings. The school calendar must provide each faculty senate a 2-hour block of time for a faculty senate meeting on a day scheduled for the opening of school prior to the beginning of the instructional term, and on a day scheduled for the closing of school before the end of the employment term. During the months, we have to provide one in October, December, February, and April for a total of 6 2-hour meetings. The next page just talks about faculty senate, that we may schedule a meeting during an instructional day if the sufficient equivalent instructional time has been set aside by the school. We typically do early dismissals for those so that we can make sure they get that full 2 hours. The instructional term, I wanted to point out about that for the pre-K minutes. Pre-K has to have a minimum of 1,500 minutes per week and 48,000 minutes per year. So we meet those minutes. You can see the breakdown on that slide. Instructional term, we've already talked about that. We have to have 180 days of instruction in the school calendar. All county boards must add minutes to the minimum instructional day in order to compensate for early dismissals, late arrivals, and faculty senate meetings. School boards who add 1 to 29 minutes to the minimum instructional day are able to dismiss students early, have late arrivals, or use instructional minutes to conduct faculty senate meetings. Minutes added to the minimum instructional day ensure that over the course of the instructional term, students will receive instruction for the amount of time equivalent to the 180 separate instructional days. County board may add a minimum of 30 minutes to each school's instructional day and plan within 180 days. We can utilize up to 5 days for snow days that we do not have to make up. And then we get the 5 because we've added that 30 minutes, so we get 5 more, and they're called non-traditional instructional days. We also use the term summer saver days, so that students complete the lessons and we don't have to make those days up because we are providing instruction.
So there's a total of 10 days that
10
can be made
days.
up like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
5 with the Chromebooks,
yes,
and then 5
And five,
with the
yeah.
summer saver package.
yes, yep.
No,
No, five
Oh.
snow days that we get, that we do not have to make up, that we can utilize.
If we
And
have
then
the
we get
accrued
5
time.
more for the Chromebook days, or the lessons, the summer saver days.
If we have the accrued time.
If we have the accrued time, yes,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So 10 total,
But you're using
5.
5 of them with accrued time that,
right.
because the day's so
Yes,
long.
Yes, yep. So then the equivalent time, the county board's opting to add the additional 30 minutes, which explains, it breaks down the elementary school, the middle school, and the high school numbers. So you can see that we've added that time. Non-traditional days are the days that we can use with the summer saver day lessons that students complete. So that, we use those with that, and we accrue that time, and that's what we use those days for. And then I laid out the options that we have. We do use that 30 minutes, and we have that accrued time for those 5 days is the option that we go with. We have to submit an approved plan to utilize those non-traditional instructional days when schools are closed. Instructional time for up to 5 days when the traditional methods of instruction are not feasible, or to provide instruction in a non-traditional manner for other reasons. And then the summary of the options, you can read that. So employment term, the 20 non-instructional days are comprised as the following: 7 legal holidays, the election day, the 6 outside of school environment days, 4 must scheduled after the 130th instructional day, and other instructional days for one of the following purposes: curriculum development, prep days, professional learning, parent-teacher conference, and professional meetings. We have to submit the calendar that is voted on by May 1st. And the graduation date, all high school seniors must attend a minimum of 175 instructional days. County boards may not hold graduation ceremonies and release seniors earlier than 5 instructional days prior to the end of the regularly scheduled instructional term. The public hearing dates, we have to have 2. So Good Friday is March 26th, and Easter is March 28th, 2027. Easter Monday will be March 29th and 2027. We hope that if the weather stays good, that Grant County will hold their calendar hearings and we'll get both of ours in. And then we anticipate to have their calendar and our calendar and let our staff vote the week of February 4th through February 6th, so that we can be ahead of schedule and have it done early. Are there any questions?
Any questions about the calendar?
Is there any thought that just the amount of time these kids spend on the bus, that it ever be able to work into, snow days or whatever? I mean, some of our kids spend a tremendous amount of time on a
Right.
bus. I don't know if the state ever looks at that or not. That should have been something we asked yesterday.
Yeah, I don't think they do, but I don't
No.
know how you would count that as instructional time.
They do look at the amount of time that students are on the bus. We have to report every year, how many students
Do
are
we
on the
get
bus.
anything out of it? I mean,
But they don't look at it for instructional
No,
purposes.
they don't look at
Like,
instructional time,
it's
but they do
not-
look at the amount of time students are on.
Yeah,
I mean, it should count for
Yeah.
something.
I do have a question, and maybe you mentioned it and I just missed it. Does that make graduation on that Sunday? Does that make graduation on Sunday?
For next year,
Yes, ma'am.
they'll have to decide, the school will have to pick the day, correct, Nicole?
Yeah, it will depend on the calendar that's voted on.
right.
Are you talking about next year or this year, Katie?
Well, I'm talking about next year, because that's what we're talking about, the calendar for
Oh,
2026, 2027,
Right,
correct?
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it'll depend on when the calendar starts, and it can't be before the 175th
Fifth day.
So it'll depend when it
Okay.
starts.
It kind of seemed like there was a conflict with the track, state track meet, and I just want to make sure that we can do our best to work around that.
Right, that's why we moved it to
It's
Sunday
Sunday,
the
right.
last year, so, because there can't be any
Yeah.
sporting events on a Sunday. So last year's and this year's is scheduled for Sunday.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
But that was a choice more from the school than from the calendar committee.
Right, right. But I mean, that was taken into consideration because nobody wants to have an athlete have to determine whether or not they're gonna compete or attend graduation. And I mean, we've made the best of that situation at times, but I hate to put a student in that position.
There
so.
were times they missed their graduation. They
Yeah.
were four.
And they did ceremonies at the
Yeah.
track meet and they had their
And they
gown,
missed
but
it,
they weren't
yeah.
with their classmates.
Because they had to decide between track and graduation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the calendar? Then let's call our meeting to order and begin with the pledge and the invocation.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we thank you for the new year, and we ask for your blessings for all of us, the students, staff, and also parents and guardians and everybody related to the school system in any way. We ask for your blessings for all. Amen. And nobody signed up for public comment, so that brings us down to student and staff recognition.
Okay, so student recognition, the December Academic Student of the Month is sophomore Katie Hebner. She resides in Upper Track with her parents, JD and Janice, and her sisters Lydia and Hannah. Katie is a member of FFA, where she holds the office as reporter. She has earned her Star Chapter Green Hand and Chapter Green Hand degree. Katie is president of the Upper Track Producers 4-H Club, where she is a member of the poultry and livestock judging teams, and has competed in the West Virginia Purebred Sheep Association contest and West Virginia Beef Expo. She was also on the state and national West Virginia first place horticulture team. She is the president of the sophomore class and a member of the pep and travel clubs and basketball and volleyball teams. Katie plans to attend WVU and earn a bachelor's degree in soil science. Then she plans to attend either Penn State or Ohio State University to achieve a Master's of Science in Agronomy. And the December James Huffman Responsible Student of the Month is sophomore Katie Kaiser. She is the daughter of Trey and Cammie Kaiser of Upper Track. Katie is a member of FFA, where she holds the office of Sentinel. She is a member of the state poultry judging team and president of Code of Conduct team. She is a Green Hand degree recipient. Katie is the reporter for the Upper Track Producers 4-H Club and a member of Mount Hope Lutheran Church. She is secretary for the sophomore class and is a member of the yearbook staff. Katie is an active member of the Mountain Show series and a graphic designer. She plans to attend college and pursue a degree in agriculture as well as study graphic design. Katie plans to travel the country exhibiting lambs at multiple different national shows and continue co-owning and raising lambs as Kaiser Sisters show lambs with her little sister. And at this time, there is
I thought we
no.
had those pictures
Do I have pictures?
from today's.
Oh, that's on the next section, sorry. That would be down in the school improvement, student achievement.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
we'll get back to those.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that concludes us under student and staff recognition. And we move down to the members of the December 16th meeting, which we have received. Are there any corrections or additions to those minutes, or do we have a motion to approve them as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the December 16th meeting. Any discussion? Then all in favor of approval of the minutes, please signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Motion passes. So we'll say we're concluded with the minutes and move down to personnel.
All right, resignation and retirements. We have Jeremy Botkin as head basketball coach at Pendleton County High School. Crystal M. Huffman Warner, assistant middle school volleyball coach. Christopher Wilburn, PE health teacher, Franklin Elementary School, and Pendleton County Middle School track teams.
And you have my recommendation to approve the resignations as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending approving the resignations as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving the resignations of Jeremy Bodkin, Crystal Huffman Warner, and Christopher Wilburn, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. The resignations are accepted. Employment.
Okay, under employment, we have Heather Malcolm Brandy Bowers for substitute aide, Raven Pazuka as substitute cook, Heather Malcolm and Raven Pazuka as substitute custodians.
And you have my recommendation to approve the hiring of these positions as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending the hiring of the positions as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of the approval of hiring Heather Malcolm, Randy Bowers, Raven Bazooka, and Heather Malcolm and Raven Bazooka again, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, no. Motion passes. Nothing under contracts.
Approval of non-paid coaches, we have Clayton Cosmore pending his certification.
And you have my recommendation to approve this as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve the hiring of the non-paid coach as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of approving the hiring of Clayton Cosmore pending certification, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed,
Aye.
opposed, no. Motion passes. Volunteers and chaperones. I guess we'll make you read them all.
And I do recommend that the volunteers and chaperones be approved as presented.
Our superintendent has recommended that we approve the hiring of the volunteers and chaperones as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions?
Does that make the drivers a separate category, or are we including those with these?
It's a separate category, isn't it?
It's whichever, which would you prefer?
However, I wanted to make sure that, I mean, we can, include volunteers, chaperones, and drivers, just make sure that we
Okay, then-
approve
yeah,
them.
okay, then let me edit that to say volunteer chaperones and volunteer drivers. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Any more questions or comments? Then all in favor of approving the volunteers and chaperones and drivers as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And
Aye.
opposed, no. Motion passes. Leave of absence.
We have one, Kathy, I for one.
And you have my recommendation to approve this leave of absence.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve this leave of absence. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions? Then all in favor of granting Kathy I a one-year leave of absence, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. And I think that concludes us for personnel, and we move to finance.
Okay, under item 6A for finance, we have the December 31st Treasurer's Report. As we've talked about for the past few months, we have a large amount of cash that we build up with property taxes and some reimbursements, and then we reduce that some over the winter months until steady picks up again. So beginning December 1st, 3.741 million was our beginning fund balance. Receipts for the month were 737,000. Disbursements 1,314,425.74, which we'll see some of those with the bills coming up. So an ending fund balance of 3,164,654.73. This month, for the first time, where were we a year ago at 12/31/24? We were at 2,747,609.99. So that doesn't mean we're going to finish the year 400,000 better, but it's certainly, because I'm pretty sure we're not. But I know that it's a good sign. It's a good sign that we are, holding our own on cash flow, and that we're so far having a solid year on that. So that's a comparison for a year ago. Broken up into our accounts with our investment account, ICS, 2,833,000. Checking account 317, the payroll account 13,000, which gets us down to our 3,164,654.73. As it says right here, we'll say the accounts payable was 461,519.88, payroll was 852,905.86. So going down through the interest rate, holding its own at 3.92%. Interest for the month, $12,227.21. As our amount goes down, coupling with interest rates decreasing, that month-to-date interest will go down, but still a healthy over $12,000. Year-to-date, July 1st, $66,072.59. Second page just ties in some of the bills, ties in the gross payroll, the net payroll, and adds everything back together to the front page. So the gross payroll, $852,905.86 again. Total disbursements together, 1.314 for current month ending fund balance, 3,164,654.73.
Okay, and you have my recommendation to approve the treasurer's report for December 2025 as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve this treasurer's report as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussions or any questions? Then all in favor of approving the December 31, 2025 treasurer's report with a balance of $3,164,654.73, please signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed, no. Motion passes. Treasurer's report is approved.
Okay, so then tying into that, the bills for approval, or 6B, for the month of December just ended. We had 718,376.75, which is all accounts payable checks written, including some payroll withholdings. So it is not all actual expenses, but it is disbursements that must be approved by the board. 718,376.75. A couple of highlights. Again, 5510 is one of our buses. Over $19,000 for that repair and maintenance, which is still a lot. It's not as much as $30,000 that we have on occasion, but again, 95% reimbursable. So we have that information there. Service calls, as I've notated over the years, the more things you have, and everything like automobiles is more mechanical than ever, HVAC, elevators and things. So it's just we pay a fair amount of money for maintenance. So service calls, Appalachian Steel and Products, the ASAP, they do a lot of our doors, our card access, they do some of our camera systems, some of our security systems. So service calls for the month was just over 4,500 for those. The next page, the second beef delivery, we're required to purchase so much local products with our food, and when the bid was put out, Lost River Meat Company again came in at the best pricing. This is a second delivery, $88.55.23. Mason & Berry, a different company which deals with HVAC at Franklin Elementary pretty much only. Service calls of 35, 36, 38. Service calls to Mountain Air Heating and Cooling, third company, 5,003.20. Again, a lot of HVAC. It could be refrigeration issues as well, or freezers, but HVAC calls there as well. Continuing on service calls, again, Owens HVAC, 1385, and then 3754 for service calls. So this was more than a normal month, but I did want to highlight the fact that, again, for various factors, whether you have equipment that just goes down or you have a power surge or things, and we certainly try to minimize those, but they can add up over time as far as expenses go. So 4 different companies with probably close to 15 to 20,000 in service calls and maintenance in the month of December alone. We talked about various lease purchases that we've done over the past few years of buses and things. This is where we make a principal and interest payment. It was 1 bus and then 2 separate buses, so 3 buses total to PCB, $106,242.28. Principal was the majority of that. Just about 20,000 was interest, and over 80,000 was principal. We'll take a look in financial update at our current lease amounts that we have. Library contribution, $10,000. That was approved. That is being paid out to the Pendleton County Library. The next notation, workers' comp for 2 quarters. We still have a very low workers' comp rate compared to about 24,000 for the year. This is 12,000, or half of that. Board docs, what we're using tonight and have used for policy and for presenting board items and agendas, 2,700 for the yearly renewal for board docs. We worked through School Board Association, through Shirley down there, and I guess Howard at this point to renew that. Nothing else for notation here. If you have questions, let me know. But total payments through accounts payable, electronic and regular check, $718,376.75.
Give my recommendation to approve the bills for December 2025 as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve the paying of the bills as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or any questions?
Yeah, JP, just one question on page 6 on the electric. Maple Avenue, there's a small one there, and then it jumps down to 11,000.
Well, it's the Maple Avenue is the address for the high school, and we have a couple.
Okay.
There's a concession stand. There's maybe one other one for the flashing light or the pole, the light pole that's out there. So a couple small ones, but the main one is the middle high school.
I see now the high school is not listed.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. But so we do have one main bill, and then we have a couple of them that are very small. We try to get them consolidated for years, and we just have run into roadblocks every time because they're definitely a separate meter, and they don't want to combine things. But sometimes you get some very small bills associated with some of those smaller ones.
That's amazing how close they were, Franklin Elementary and then the high school.
Yes.
Yes.
And that's something, we've talked about a little bit. We hope to get a little better at managing energy, and it's always a struggle when you're in session, out of session, heating and cooling, and our units running efficiently and all that. But yes, FES, to my disappointment over the years, is not far behind the middle high school as far as the electric cost. Yes.
Any additional questions? And all in favor of paying the bills in the amount of $718,376.75, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. Bills are paid.
All right, nothing under budget revisions for tonight. There may be at the next board meeting or the following, couple of budget revisions. Took care of a bunch of those at the last meeting. Financial update, several items to go through. So I'll just start with the SRS, Secure Rural School Extension. As mentioned at the board meeting a few board meetings ago, it did pass what we call forest land funds. It did pass. They have about 45 days to get that out to us. And they're going to be doing so. They're going to continue working, this coalition of forest land counties across the country, going to continue working, trying to get something worked out, more permanent as opposed to an every 2 or 3 year reauthorization. That's been talked about for many, many years, so I'm not sure that's possible. But they'll talk about some of the ways of distributing the funding, and they'll continue working. And they've been a good organization. We don't pay any dues at this time. We could pay voluntary dues. We have not, but they've done a lot of good work as far as the forest land goes. So hopefully we'll see payment within the next 30 days or so, since it's been several days since legislation was passed. Now, I will certainly update you. And again, we're getting around $70,000 a year. Used to be over 100, but our per capita income is a little higher than what it used to be compared to the other counties across the country. And I don't know what goes into all that, but that's certainly part of the factor. So now we get around $70,000 a year, and only received about $25,000 last year. So we'll catch that up from last year and get this year's full allotment. So I expect over $100,000, which will be good news for the budget for the secure rural schools. Back to, and I think you remember, I may not remember the name, LVX bankruptcy. That was the firm that came 2016, 17, 18 and tried to get us to put in those lights that you could do Wi-Fi over the lights. I know we were down FES once it just opened. So the headline, I was just searching for the company, trying to stay in the loop what was going on. So the bankrupt LVX system was once worth more than $100 million. On paper, it was worth that much. I don't know if it ever was. So they had a bunch of patents and they had some things, but they are technically bankrupt currently. So probably is good, or maybe we just saved them from bankruptcy. I don't know which way it was, but nonetheless, we did not go with all that. They had a good idea, but it was a lot to take into account, a lot of things left done. And there's a picture of the lights, and it's an interesting story about the founder of the company, and he's undaunted, trying to do some more. And the astronaut came here and spoke and all that kind of stuff. So. Interesting time. It just never really caught on. I do think that transmitting it over the light wave somewhere is going to, do something with technology someday. I don't know, but probably not with this company as far as LVX goes. So information on that. Extension request is just information. This is not for action tonight. It's just under update. The 4-H extension, the county extension office. We did increase. I looked in my notes today. The school board increased to 80. They asked for 8,000 last year. School board gave 8,500, and that was up from several years of 4, 5, and 6. And for many years it was around 4,000 and gradually increased. So they're again looking for an increase in the local match, and they're asking the commission as well. So I'm not asking you and they're saying they're 2,900 short. So I'm not saying to board members tonight, you need to make any decision on that. That's just information for you. That's something we'll have to consider when the budget is approved further here into the late winter and early spring on that. That's just information. Lease payable is information, and it does go to show that, we have quite a few leases, which we know, and sometimes it's good things to put things onto paper in the black and white. So right now, the lease payable and this lease purchase, we use the leasing as a way to finance the purchase. We're not really leasing things and then giving them up. Now the copiers, while we do own them at the end of the term, they are usually all worn out, and the maintenance on those is usually priced that it's just about as good, based on consultation with many folks, to go ahead and enter into new 5 years copiers in these schools with over 2 million copies are about ready for a new copier at the end of 5 years. So maybe we can get an extra year, but the copier lease will be up at the end of May of this year. So this is as of June 30, 2025, we had 31,000 left on that. That's in the process of being paid down this year. The two-way radio lease several years ago upgraded the two-way radios across the county and the buses to go to the modern systems that we have. $81,000 is still owed on those, and that'll be paid off May 24th of 2027. So the beginning balance of 24 is where it was beginning of the year. Ending is as of June 30, and anything in parentheses in red is what was paid during the year. So for 2A radios, for example, the second one paid almost $40,000 principal and $5,000 interest, $45,000 total. 2 new 78 passenger buses. We signed that lease January 3rd of 24 for 5 years. That balance, and usually when you have this, you have a full year or 6 months to make your first payment. So you don't always, one of the good things about financing is you're not writing a check right away. The other side is you eventually have to pay for what you're committed to, and so you have to eventually start making those payments. And so $45,000 principal, $16,000 interest. The interest rate will come down. The amount will come down as we pay more principal over that time. Since that was $258,000, that was a 5-year as opposed to a 4-year. Then we did add an additional lease purchase December of 24. Didn't make any payments yet. That was $152,000. So the total payments that we had for beginning balance was $444,000. We added $152 to that, paid payments of $117. As of June 30, 25, the amount owed was $479,015.07. That has come down some in the past 6 or 7 months as we've made payments on those. Now, since June 30 of 2025, locker leases, which we did for 3 years, and that was a way to finance those. $85,458 just made one of our payments on the locker leases. A bus lease, which was just approved a board meeting ago, $148,999. So what happened with COVID and with buses? It took a year to 18 months to put buses in. Well, that cycle apparently has been busted, and something at the plant is now working better. So no longer does it take a year, 18 months to get it. As a matter of fact, there's another bus that's going to be ready here very shortly, within a few weeks. So our choice will be, to write a check for $160,000, or at least purchase another one. My recommendation at this point would be, go ahead and do a lease purchase. But for consideration, there's another bus out there that's going to be in the next few months ready to go. And I'm talking to Christy and Nicole today. At that point, our bus fleet is going to be in very good shape, generating us bus replacement money. And unless it's an absolute necessity, we will pause on purchasing buses for a while. There's no definitive timeline, but I think our bus will be very much up to date once we cycle through those purchases there. And so that bus number 2 mentioned there, 170, it was ordered just a few months ago, and again, we were kind of operating under the time frame that it would take 12 to 18 months, and that's not the case. So nonetheless, that's where we are with that one. So that would be if we at least financed all those, over $1 million, which again, over 4 or 5 years, you're talking about making those payments over time. Franklin Elementary project. Well, we have issue with pressurization at Franklin Elementary and some other issues where it's just not optimized, even though it's not all that old, the HVAC system at FES. We have some quotes off of a cooperative purchasing contract, and Travis can speak more to that at a future meeting, which I think will fix the problem. We've talked to the SBA, talked to other people, but there's no SBA money for that. So if we decide to do the FES project, that's going to be not quite, but close to $300,000. Equipment can be lease purchased. HVAC upgrades can be lease purchased. Non-equipment can usually not be lease purchased unless there's very unusual circumstances. Now that can be prorated out for quite a while if you want to stretch it out for that long. What's another thing on the horizon? Well, we still want to go back to the SBA for Brandywine HVAC, their total system, and for the roofing at the middle high school. Each of those projects are $1.3 million or so, which is 2.6 or 2.7 million. They've told us to come back for an MIP project in the spring, and so let's say we go and ask for Brandywine. That would be, again, about 1.3 million. Let's say they give us $1 million. That would be great. We still have $300,000 to come up with. And again, that's HVAC. That also could be lease purchased. So you could do it. Now, the middle high school and the roofing, very unlikely to get lease purchasing for that. So we may have to hold off on that one unless they tell us, that they can give us both and we know ahead of time what's going on. So, none of these down below, below the 148 is the last one that the board, we had the resolution and signed. So we do have 2 bus purchases coming through that I believe we can and probably should lease purchase, but we can discuss that. And then beyond the buses, we do have the FES project, which can be lease purchased, and the Brandywine or Brandywine local match, if that's the scenario. Now, we have $300,000 setting aside in a permanent improvement fund. One of Charles's great insights was, 2020, 2021, let's set aside $50,000 a year into permanent improvement. So we've been setting aside $50,000 a year. We have, coincidentally or not, $300,000. So it's there. It's part of our cash position that's there. So that can also be tapped into. And so you kind of have to think strategically, when do you want to lease purchase something and stretch it out? When do you want to write a check for it? Or when do we have the permanent improvement fund to go ahead and dip into on that particular item? So, none of those are things that are happening at the moment as far as those last 2 items, but they are very much on the radar screen that we will have to, if we decide to do the FES project, which I know we're in favor of trying to do it because it's going to help the school and maybe even help energy costs, certainly be a safety issue with the doors and everything, then how are we going to pay for that? If we go back for an MIP in a few months and they say, yeah, we'll give you $1 million, but the total bill is 1.3, then what do we do with that? So information, anything, Nicole, you want to add, or board members, any?
Well, I was going to share in facilities that currently FES is without heat in the 2nd floor. They are using plug-in heaters at this time. So it just becomes more and more obvious that this project at Franklin Elementary is going to have to be a priority. Mason and Berry has been contacted, but that is usually a very slow process. So, yeah.
So it's information, it's not things that we cannot do. We just have to think through, because obviously, if we wrote checks for all of those, then our 1.7 or 8 million fund balance would be drained pretty quickly, And so we've done a lot of things in the past 4 or 5 years, and we could write the checks for some of those. But we're at the point now that we can't simply turn around and write. Maybe once in a while, perhaps you can, but there are times that with those sorts of items that we have to work through, and so at any rate, the buses are a little bit easier in that they do increase our bus fleet value. We pay for them over 4 to 5 years, and it's basically an interest-free loan because the increase in bus value that we get, that money for a bus replacement, offsets the interest. So it's basically paying for a bus over 4 or 5 years with no net interest cost, as opposed to writing a check, So that easier, even though it's still on the books as a loan that you have to go through. So just items for information. Nothing for action tonight, but the FES project, as Nicole mentioned, will be coming up soon. This bus will be coming up soon, and we'll have some recommendations and some discussion based on those to come.
Any questions? JP, thank you for putting this out there, letting us look at it, letting us anticipate a little bit what's coming. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay,
That's all I have, yep.
I think that finishes up in the financial, and we move down to facilities.
Okay. And additionally, Brandywine is also having a few issues with heating as well, just to keep you up to date. I did have a conversation with Travis as far as management of energy today. He is going to talk with Dan and Eric and see if we need somebody to come in and do some training. We definitely need more access rather than just one person to that system. So it may even be more than just Eric and Dan that are trained. Travis does believe that updating the system at Franklin would probably help with the management of the energy. Some of the systems, the older systems, are going to be harder to be able to say we're going to put them on a schedule for heating and cooling. But whatever we can do, it will be an improvement. So we will definitely work towards that. So.
Any questions under facilities?
I just have a request
Are
from,
those back in the school over at North Fork in the band, or in their music room yet?
They are, yes. They're in and they are very happy,
Awesome.
yes.
I just had a request from Robert Bennett. He wants some automatic scrubbers,
Yeah, he said that to me too.
either fixed or new, he said. He don't have anything to work with. So, thought I'd tell you that. If that helps anything.
Anything else under facilities?
I did talk to the Preservation Society, and they are agreeable to let us put rocks up there to protect.
Okay,
That's something we can look at in the spring, as
Okay.
far as seeing if Greer will donate the rock, and if we can get them hauled there in place to protect that part, our part there.
okay, that's good.
We did receive the insurance proceeds from Board of Risk for the full amount, that's
Good.
really been good.
It's good.
Anything else?
And I did see that, I talked to Charles Armentrout, they will provide us chips if we give them a little advance, notice. And I guess with the change of ownership and everything, 'cause I see we bought them off Grant County mulch, that quite expensive for 2 loads, that probably next year if they need some, if we can just coordinate with the mill there in Riverton, we should be able to get them again.
Okay.
One more time. Anything else? Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for contributing to that. I will say that we're done with facilities, and that brings us to policies for review, second reading.
Yeah, so I will save you the time. I will not go into great detail again. I gave you the handouts at the last meeting. I know some of you may have a couple things that you caught or things we need to look at, which we can do. So I don't have anything further to add tonight, other than this is the second reading of the policies. So go ahead.
And I would like to make some, would like to make a motion to amend the minutes in 6 different places. The first one is amend policy 0142.3 under B, and it has a date that is January 1, and I'd like to strike January 1 and insert before the end of their term. The second one is policy 2266 under C, and in small d, there are 2 misspellings of the word "the." It has HTE instead of THE.
Okay.
And then there are 4 policies that have to do with weapons: 3217, 4217, 5772, and 7217. And under line G, it says that there will be no weapons in the schools, but then under line J below, it talks about rimfire rifles and air rifles as a result, if there are shooting teams. So I'd like to amend G by adding at the end, except as in paragraph J below.
Yep. We did debate that if we needed it, if it was counterintuitive or not. Yes, we will remove the never be approved, and we will make the change that you recommended for that.
So need a second to that motion to amend.
Second?
Second.
Okay,
we
we have a
both did.
motion then and a second.
Okay.
I said
we
I
do a
made the
motion?
motion, but I don't know if I can, so do you mind
I'll
making
make
the
the
motion?
motion and Katie can
And
second it.
Katie can second it to make those
That's fine.
amendments as listed.
Mm-hmm.
I probably shouldn't make that motion.
That's
Thank you.
probably not. Okay.
Keep me straight. Any discussion or any questions or any additional?
Yeah, JP, one time there was a length of the blade of a knife. Is that still state code, state policy? Was it 3.5, Derek? Does that sound right?
3?
Three.
No,
Three.
it's
Three. Total overall length.
Less than 3.
Less
Yes.
than 3. So that is, that's the state policy. It doesn't have to be in our policy, or how does that? It's not considered a weapon if it's less than 3 inches total overall length.
Right, it's 3.5. It's
3.5, I thought.
Is it?
Yeah,
So it's in there.
Under
Okay.
weapons here, which is not anything new, it's just part of the policy. Weapons, under a D there, 3217 weapons, it changed some language, but it is in there, D, knife
Okay.
means an interest, and it does say with a blade over 3 1/2 inches in length, and then it goes on to all sorts of definitions of other items that are in there as well, but that is in there, that's not changing or anything like that.
Okay.
It's still in there.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything additional? Then the first thing we need to vote on is the amendment to add in those things that I suggested. So all those in favor of approving the amendment to the policies, please signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Motion passes. And now we have the amended policy to approve. Before I ask for the vote, is there any other questions or any other discussion? Then all in favor of approving the policies as a second reading as amended, please signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Motion passes. The amended policies are approved as a second and final reading.
Okay, same motion and same second, did I miss that?
Oh, I didn't get a motion in a second on that, did I? Did I?
Or did you?
I don't think.
I don't think I
No,
did.
no, you didn't.
Lisa, you got to work hard to keep me straight. So I need a motion to approve the amended policies.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Now,
All right, got it.
everybody's going to vote the same way. If you're not going to, let me know. Thank you very much, Lisa. Okay. That finishes up the policies. That brings us down to new business and attendance waivers.
Yes, and
Okay,
next,
so we have 3 attendance waivers for your review this evening. Attendance waiver 2526 numbers 18, 16, and 17.
And it's my recommendation that these attendance waivers be approved as presented.
Our superintendent's recommending that we approve these attendance waivers as presented. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And a second? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these?
In all the years we've been doing this, have we ever took one of them away? Or have we?
We actually did earlier this year.
Okay.
And I think that may have been my first one that we revoked. But yes, I know that Dr. Lambert's keeping a close eye on them. And
I'm just curious,
as
'cause we do a lot of
needed,
them.
we'll recommend the revocation.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Yes, Dr. Lambert shared with me just this week that he was going to be reviewing and meeting with families, and that there were some that were not going to be happy with the outcome, most likely, so.
Well, we always have the stipulations, that, if it drops down, I just wonder, because we do a tremendous amount of them anymore.
Yes.
Any more discussion?
Thank you.
Then all in favor of approving attendance waivers 25, 26, 15, 16, and 17, please signify by saying aye. And opposed, no. Motion passes. The attendance waivers are approved. And MOU with Pendleton County Commission.
Okay, so if you've been on the website for road conditions, you probably have noticed that the North Fork camera has not been working, and it is greatly missed. The camera is no longer, it cannot be repaired. The people that installed that camera are no longer in business. So bottom line, the camera needs to be replaced. And so, is this with the MOU and the purchase, or are they two separate things?
Well, I just put the amount
Okay.
on there as just information, so.
Okay. So within the MOU, we will put the amount that we would be approving for the purchase of the camera, and it is as a central location for the county, and that it's often utilized to access road conditions. I do recommend that the board approve the full cost of the cameras for the North Fork Mountain camera system.
So just to give a little follow-up, I mean, Rick Gillespie in Emergency Services had a quote of $7,800.14 for the camera, $7,814. And the question was, would the school system be willing to assist, and that's been discussed. This MOU was put together, which doesn't obligate the board to do anything beyond this one-time assistance if necessary. It does assist school system and buses and students and staff going back and forth. It doesn't obligate to have to do it again in the future. It doesn't obligate to any other cameras that are out there. Certainly, the North Mountain one is the most heavily utilized as far as making decisions about school and the weather and just general road conditions that are there. So that would be the proposal that is here, is for the MOU with the county commission to assist with purchasing this camera, and the amount of the camera, if so desired, is $7,800.14. I do think it would be a reasonable transportation expense, as it works with our transportation department and with buses. I wouldn't, want to go to the well too often on that, but I do think that it could be reasonably justified to be a transportation expense, as that particular camera is worked with for
So
school.
the county commission has asked us to pay it all. I mean, that's.
Well, they've asked if we would assist. They didn't demand any amount of money. They asked if we would assist.
If you can write it off the transportation expense.
If you get this camera, is there something in place that they would service the thing?
Yeah, it's in the MOU, yeah.
It's in the MOU. We wanted to make sure that it belongs to them. They are taking care of it. It is simply, the commission intends to retain ownership. The board is willing to assist as it helps assess road conditions, but there's no additional responsibility or obligation on the Board of Education. It is simply a contribution to the commission. It's a voluntary donation, as it says here, to support public safety and student transportation needs, and that no consideration or service, any future costs related to repair, replacement, upgrades are not included, and the board assumes no obligation, financial or otherwise, in such future expenses. 6 years down the road, if it goes bad again, I guess there could be another conversation, but this is a goodwill offering to assist with that.
And your
That
recommendation?
is my recommendation, that we pay the full amount.
So our superintendent's recommending that we agree to sign the MOU and also agree to pay the full amount. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Lisa can sort out which is which.
Whichever.
Any additional discussion before we go to the vote? Then all in favor of signing the MOU with Pendleton County Commission and paying the full amount of the camera's purchase and installation, $7,800.14, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. The MOU and expenditure is approved. MOU with Liberty University.
Yes, we have two here. One is for individuals to complete their observation hours, and the other is for them to complete student teaching. We have some individuals that are attending Liberty, and it just gives them the opportunity to complete those with us in Pendleton County.
It's my recommendation that both these MOUs be approved.
Our superintendent's recommending approval of the MOUs with Liberty University, 2 MOUs. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 MOUs with Liberty University. Any discussion or questions?
And I read through them, Chrissy, and they do all the background and that they're legally able to come into our school system. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Any more? Okay, then all in favor of approving the 2 Liberty University MOUs, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion passes. I think that finishes us up under new business, and that brings us down to school improvement, student achievement.
Okay. picture now?
I'm going to go back to the, if you want to follow along to the
So,
tab,
yeah,
3A, student recognition, but they'll also be on the screen. Go ahead, Nicole.
So today, Franklin and Brandywine students traveled by bus to North Fork and participated in a social studies and science fair. And Christy and I were able to go for the award ceremony, which was a treat. And you can see all the students that placed. Franklin Elementary had 11 people that participated and 11 placed. So that was really, really good. And I gave you the list of who won for the various categories, so you can look at those. But it's obvious that there is a lot of hard work put into those projects. Would have liked a little more time to look at the projects, but it was really nice to see those. So maybe that would be something that, I know last year we had some students come and present their projects. It might be something that we want to look at some of these and have the students come and talk to us. So that was a great opportunity.
I'm
Travis
glad we were
was
able to
there.
do that.
Yes, me too. I'm glad we didn't have a snow day. No delays on that, so that was good.
Any questions or anything farther under student achievement? Then let's go ahead to school updates.
Okay. I think we have.
So I wanted to come and share with you all the letter and certificate that I received from Michelle Blatt, State Superintendent of Schools. It's just a certificate for Pendleton County Middle High School for achieving exceed standards performance on the graduation 4-year cohort. So got that in the mail and thought I would come and share that everyone's efforts are being seen and appreciated.
Thank you.
It truly is our goal, is to get them across that stage to that point, so.
Yes, I told a student the other day, if I had to drag him across myself, he was getting across that stage.
I hope you don't have to drag him.
I do too.
And I would have to say, just to add that that's a sign of a lot of work put into from various people. Like Carrie does an amazing job with attendance and watching those numbers and communicating with the schools and our school counselors and our CIS coordinators and our administration. I mean, that they have to be there to be able to be successful. And that is just evidence of so much dedication and hard work. So congratulations.
So, yep. Anything else under school updates? Then that brings us down to the superintendent's update.
So yesterday we did have our meet and greet. We had Senator Morris, Taylor, and Hamilton join us, unfortunately virtually, but it was still a very good conversation. We had approximately, I think, about 25 people here. The Pendleton County, Grant County, and Hardy County board members and central office personnel were here. Had some great discussions, mostly focused on school finance because the funding formula, that's one of our biggest concerns, but other things were discussed, and it was very, certainly some areas that we could improve if we do this again in the future, and I would be glad to do so. I think it was great that we could host. It was just a sign here in this building what a blessing this building is to us that we can host. So.
And the technology worked. And
Yes, until I hit the wrong button.
But you got it back.
Yeah, we did.
And you and your staff did a nice job putting it on.
Yes, I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Thank you. And a lot of good
Very
help.
nicely put on.
Thank you. And that's all for superintendent's updates.
And conference and meeting update. then.
Okay, so this Thursday, January 8th, we have a central office meeting. We do that usually once a month, so we did not do one in December. December was a very, very fast month. Tuesday, January 13th, we have our leadership, which will be a full day because our meeting in December was canceled due to weather. And during that time, we are going to be doing our second academic data review. And then Wednesday, January 14th, we have the South Branch Career and Technical Center meeting in Petersburg. And one last thing is we would like to have a board retreat focused on finances January 24th, which is a Saturday from 8 to 11 here in this building, if that suits.
Yep. I think we ought to do that, a board retreat here,
Yeah.
8 to 11 on January 24th.
Did Katie hear that correctly?
Katie, did you hear that?
I did, and I'm thinking my little girl has a ball game to cheer for, but I can figure out how to make it work.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So from 8 until 11?
That's what we're scheduling for. It may not take that much time, but the list that JP and Christy and I have been working on today, we may take all that time.
Okay.
So, and an option might be that we could record it too, if that would be something that you'd want to review later. So that would be an option. So,
It's been a while since we've had one, though. It's good to do that every now and again.
I will look too and see what time, and we can make it work.
okay.
Anything else under conference and meeting update? Then our next meeting will be here on Tuesday, January the 20th at 5:30. And I will accept the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.